Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Favorite Album of the Year. Today we are at 1998, closing out the 90s, which for some of you probably a good thing. For others, pretty fruitful decade in music. A lot of good metal happening in the undergrounds, a lot of good cool prog, all sorts of things happening, for me anyway, during this decade that wasn't the usual kind of classic metal that I was used to in the 80s, right? A lot of extreme metal, a lot of prog stuff happening in this decade. As the decade war started to kind of wind down, I started getting back into metal again after being just listening to almost nothing but progressive rock and jazz fusion for a good chunk of the decade. So my favorite is from a band and their catalog that I dig quite a bit, and they're a band that really kind of morphed into a pretty sophisticated progressive death metal band towards the latter part of the decade. And this would actually be their final album. Okay, it's a pretty terrific one. It's pretty technical, complex. It's melodic. It's still at its core a death metal album, but man, is it pretty sophisticated. And I think the playing on this album is impeccable. And the songs are memorable. I just dig it a lot. It was released August 31st, 1998, produced by Jim Morris, and as well as the band's guitar player and vocalist Chuck Schuldiner. I'm talking about The Sound of Perseverance by Death. Got a lot of there we go. Trying not to get so much reflection there. A pretty killer album. And it's just a shame that, this was to be their last album because, of course, Chuck left us a couple of years afterwards. He had actually put the band Death to rest and did Control Denied, which was basically not that different from this album, just with a different lead singer who was singing all clean vocals, no more growling vocals. In fact, it's interesting when you listen to the Death catalog and hear kind of how Chuck's vocals kind of changed throughout the history of their albums, from that really early death metal growling snarl to more of kind of like a screechy, almost kind of like black metal style later on in the career, which you can understand everything he was saying, which is pretty cool. But this album is really good, produced very well. It's got the amazing drumming of Richard Christie, some of you may know from the Howard Stern Show, also a damn fine drummer, played with Iced Earth, Charred Walls of the Damned, great drummer, really cool guy. Here you've got Scavenger of Human Sorrows, Come the Scavenger! It's a rip-roaring shredfest, great technical death metal track. You've got Bite the Pain, okay, great stop-start arrangements, killer guitar work. The absolutely pulverizing Spirit Crusher, one of my favorite death tunes of all time. Such a great song. Story to Tell, Flesh and the Power It Holds, Voice of the Soul, To Forgive is to Suffer, and of course the great closer, A Moment of Clarity. Just a terrific album. Probably not quite my favorite Death album, because I think Symbolic just seems to be that album for me, but this is easily a top 2 or 3 album for me for Death. I know my opinion changes a lot on the Death catalog. Sometimes I like Human a lot more. Sometimes this one rises to the top. In most cases, it's Symbolic, but I think that this is just a terrific album in a year where there's actually a lot of good contenders. So my runner-up, actually, until this morning, was going to be my winner. That's how it goes with albums that are really near and dear to you. It's like you just like, oh, how do you choose one over the other? And I decided to go with the Death album over this one. And if you ask me next week, I might change my mind. But for today, my runner-up is going to be Twilight in Olympus by Symphony X. That's right, Symphony X, 2 days in a row, making it to the finales here. I think just a great record. Smoke and Mirrors, Church of the Machine, just absolutely love. Through the Looking Glass, multi-part epic, one of my favorite Symphony X tunes. Lady of the Snow, another gorgeous track. I just think that this is Symphony X, just epic, melodic, progressive metal at its finest. I dig this a lot. This was a tough choice between these two because I love them both. But for today, I'm going to pick my favorite of the year, Death, The Sound of Perseverance, coming in runner-up. Twilight in Olympus by Symphony X. You might be asking, well, Pete, what else from this glorious year of 1998 were you 1998 were you considering? Spock's Beard, Kindness of Strangers, a lot of good prog this year. Opeth, My Arms, Your Hearse, that's right up there. Meshuggah's Chaos Sphere. Deep Purple's Abandon, really fine album. Really, I don't like it as much as Perpendicular, which won for 1996 for me, but I like it quite a bit. Iced Earth, Something Wicked This Way Comes, love that album. Government Mule, Dose. You got Liquid Tension Experiment. You got Sonic Origami by Uriah Heep. You've got Arions, The Electric Castle, Pain of Salvation, 1 Hour by the Concrete Lake, Shadow Gallery, Arena, Nathan Mall, Blind Guardian, Bruce Dickinson, all sorts of really good Gorguts, Primal Fear, a lot of really good contenders for the throne for me for 1998, but when it all came down to it, it's Death and Symphony X. That's what I'm talking about here for 1998, but you know how it goes, guys. In the comments below, list your favorites, 5, 10, 20, whatever you want to do from calendar year 1998. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. We all hear these albums differently. We all love these albums differently. So that's the way it should be, right? So let's get some discussion going and see what you guys feel. And then tomorrow we'll have 1999. But in the meantime, visit us on the web at www.seeattranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up shortly, we've got Martin Popoff and myself ranking the studio catalog of Ted Nugent. That's coming up later today, this afternoon. Going to be ranking the studio catalog of Slayer, Thrash Metal Titans, with Elliot Fulham, Brian Slagle, and Steve Keeler. You do not want to miss that one. Tomorrow, Jack Toledano and I are going to give our top 10 songs of Manowar, as well as a very, very special guest coming on the show. I am going to announce it right now. Derek Schulman of Gentle Giant is coming on to Sea of Tranquility to talk about all things Gentle Giant, as well as the big box set that they released late in 2019, which has more Gentle Giant than you'd ever want to listen to. I am stoked to have Derek on the show. Derek and I haven't actually talked in about 14 or 15 years, so I'm really looking forward to that. So you do not want to miss that. That'll be happening tomorrow. So we'll see you guys later on. Take care. Bye-bye.